The reason why it's going to be a short stream tonight is because the Fox in a Box has a character to play over at D&D time in maybe an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours. And so oh, hey, McFluffy Muffin. And so we are going to just kind of delve right into it. And then we were going to go raid D&D time. So go tell a friend and bring him in here, and let's give D&D time a good raid. Because every good DM should practice what he or she preaches. And if we're going over how to be a dungeon master, then so too can we take a look at how Fox in the Box is a player character. And it'll be a lot of fun. It's also a great cross-promotion because, you know, D&D time and Maddie Morgs are like peas and carrots. So let's say howdy hi, or an equivalent, to the Fox in a Box. Fox, are you there?
Yes. Hello.
Yes. Excellent.
It is me. It is I. Hello.
You are sounding a little bit low.
Okay.
Oh, there. Oh, that was great.
Oh, okay.
It might have been a mic distance thing, or
I think it was a volume thing.
Oh, volume. Gotcha. Do we have the ukulele tonight?
We do.
Oh.
For a bit, anyway.
Okay.
It is here.
All right. Well then, remember this is D&D. There's no fun. This is only toil and heartbreaking work.
Yeah.
So
no fun allowed.
No fun allowed. And also as an excellent example of how D&D works that the books may never tell you. Right when you thought, Fox, that here we are, we're on the precipice of creating some villains, some NPCs, and starting to flesh out the world as we're exploring it one layer at a time. You hear a on your door.
Better not be Jeremy again.
And the voice from the other side of the door says, it is not Jeremy. It is in fact English Rose.
Ah, well, she hasn't betrayed me, so she's allowed inside my office.
English Rose walks into your office and says, so... Suspicions of betrayal imminent.
Could you hear it in my tone?
Yeah, so I've been thinking about my character. And ever since we talked a little bit more about the world and the things that you were, that you threw out there, I still want to play Rayorn. But...
Thank God. But...
But... and it's not even a big but. It's a small, wonderful, discreet but. There's a couple changes that I want to make to Rayorn. And I was hoping that, well, maybe you'd let me play this version instead. And English Rose is going to slide a character sheet across your desk.
I'm just gonna look at it.
And
narrowed eyes. I've seen some sheets in my day.
Let's have a little look-see at what one of your players is hopefully not waylaying you with here.
Yes.
So up on, if you may have it yourself, but up on my screen I have the original Rayorn, and then I have the Rayorn rework. And go ahead and go over it and see if what all's changing up, what all is what's happening, and is this going to be worth is this a conversation? Is this simple oh yes, or is this even a hell no, or oh this actually makes things so much more easy on me?
Well, let's see what we got here. Dog, please. Getting bothered by Pupper for pets. Good boy Pupper, though. Looks like she's taking Eldritch Blast. Ah.
What
Sorry.
was that?
That was me scolding my little pooch. He's doing a bad thing.
Here I thought this was like Emperor Palpatine, like, yes, give in to the Eldritch Blast.
No. She took Eldritch Blast. Much of this is the same. It's really just the sort of abilities in the pack that got up, from what I can tell. Which is that they're now the chain of, their pack's boon is the chain master thing. That one.
Yes.
I can word. Yes, another night with Fox. Hi, Diadems. Nice to have you here.
Yes,
Yeah.
welcome, Diadems.
I enjoy Pact of Chain Warlocks, if I'm honest. There will probably be items to beef up that familiar in the world.
Oh. I'm sure
Yeah.
I'm sure English Rose's eyes will get all, like ooh-wooey.
Yeah, I'm sure. I deeply enjoy beefing up Pact of Chain and like making your pact choice feel like it makes a difference. Don't mind me, that's just my dog. Some of the invocations got changed up. Place
Yes.
active blade with Pact of Chain. Cast armor shadows with Eldritch Spears. So now, what are the party's weaknesses that they don't have range? They have range!
Hey.
That's good. They're gonna have a bit of an easier time with a little range. Let's see. So, Thirsting Blade with Chainmaster. Yeah, you can see through the eyes and ears of your familiar. So, they essentially have a scout and some range with which to finagle that scout. And then we look at spells. She's added more. She's changed up to her spells. She has like spider climb and fly, presumably because there won't be a lot of land. And presumably because she might need to climb up the mast of the ship in a storm or something. So, good looking ahead. Rose is really good at that, though.
So is everything copacetic?
Yeah, it's fine.
And you would allow this change? That this isn't making you go back to that to the Dragonborn home island that we conjured up last night and go, oh, terrible. No.
It's mostly because Rayorn spent most of the time off of the island fighting the enemies.
You did get a little bit more backstory with Rayorn reworked as well.
Really?
Yeah.
What else? What did I get? I don't have. I skimmed. I'm dirty. I skimmed.
That's fine. So Rayorn was conscripted into the military at an early age, leaving his family and being trained to become an officer, a leader of war bands. Though not the strongest or smartest, he possessed a natural charisma that aided him in inspiring his troops and keeping loyalty in the darkest of times. A distinguished career saw him assigned to more and more dangerous tasks and more difficult positions, yet somehow he pulled through each time. However, each mission he grew more and more bitter as he saw friends die, sometimes needlessly, all in the name of a country he'd spent more time defending than living in. His final mission, things went badly. His squad was wiped out by a single enemy who left a blade sticking out of Rayorn's chest, so this still seems to be a central theme.
Right.
Friendly scouts found him clinging to life and managed to get him back to a healer. However, mentally, he was broken, a fragment of the leader he once was. Honorably, with that extra wonderful British U, discharged, left with a small stipend in a home more foreign to him than the people he called enemies. Rayorn's few years of civilian life were marred by drunkenness, jail time, and self-destruction. He barely functioned, his entire purpose now listless, his past memories and companions constant ghosts tormenting him. He doesn't remember meeting his quote-unquote lord, as he refers to them, and only has a vague memory of the events. He remembers agreeing to his service, but the exact details elude him. He woke up feeling older, as if years had passed. Still, since that meeting, he feels more filled with purpose, and the ghosts and the memories seem more distant now, less real. He packed up his things and decided to travel, to try and figure out what this place called home really was.
Okay. Yeah. That's what I remember the gist of it being originally, if I'm honest.
And based on this as well, though, there seems to be a detachment to the patron.
Right.
As the dungeon master of this hypothetical story.
Mm-hmm.
Is this a passive thing? Does the patron sort of collect people like toys, or is the patron going to play a more major role in the story, if not obviously, then innocuously?
Oh, I like having patrons. If you have a patron, you can bet your bottom dollar that it's gonna play a significant and integral part in the story. And sometimes it may not be the most benevolent patron you've ever met.
Yeah. All right, so as Rose is kind of sitting there, gauging your reaction, you're going to slide the character back and say, I approve. It gets the fox stamp of approval.
Yes, it gets the little fox stamp of approval. It's got like a little owl face.
An owl face?
Owl.
Oh, and a woo. Oh, gotcha. All right, then.
Yes.
All right. Then I'm sure that has absolutely... I'm sure that's absolutely made Rose's day, and now you are left in your office with your thoughts and your hopes and your dreams.
And the darkness that dwells within me.
That's right. You can let a little bit of that darkness out, and one way we can do this, actually, this turned into a pretty good segue, a segue.
Do you mind?
We're gonna talk
not
about
you.
What's that?
Not you. I'm just having troubles with the pooch. He's being
gotcha.
very needy. Put his head in my lap, and I'm massaging his ear, and he's really enjoying it.
Oh. And so something we can do is to fill the world with interesting NPCs and villains.
Right.
And now that's a rather kind of black and white. I mean, technically villains are just NPCs. But I think we see NPCs as more or less, neutral or benevolent, and villains are villains.
Right.
But they could be antagonists, they could be foils, they could be truly the big bad evil guy. They could be as simple as the cabbage guy from Avatar.
Which guy?
From Avatar: The Last Airbender. Cabbage cart.
Gotcha.
Okay.
That's something I do have a question though.
Mm-hmm.
How do you know when you've made enough NPCs for a city? One of my biggest problems. I don't know where I should stop, where I should go, what I should do, Cotton Eye Joe.
All right. There can technically never be enough, because you could make every inhabitant of the city an NPC.
Yeah, but then I'd be making
yes,
possibly hundreds, if not thousands, of people.
That said, you really only have to worry about the people that the party are most likely going to interact with. And so, if you want them to meet a particular NPC, this is it's a fated encounter of some kind. It's in anime. You have the person late for school running, with the piece of toast in their mouth, and as they round a corner, they bonk heads with a schoolmate, and that schoolmate's the NPC. So you could have a fated encounter like that. Exactly, Coffee Cat. Innkeepers, quest givers are all good. Tavern owners. It could be a thief that pickpockets them. So you may want to generate someone who is rather integral to the story, or if not to the story, to deliver a portion of the story before then fading away.
Of the particular island?
If you're kind of segmenting the story as island adventures, then yes.
Okay. And you can have overarching NPCs for plot.
Oh, of course, of course. And here's a quick and dirty little technique. If you're familiar with the setting, you can instantly create NPCs as you need them, or as the party seeks them out. Because you're familiar with, generally the economy, the mood, the industry, the religious habits. Because you're familiar with the world as a broad setting, and you're familiar with this environment in a more micro setting. And so you may just only want to create a couple named NPCs that you have a lot of effort put into them. Anyone else that they encounter, it's easy for you to just pull out of your noggin as you need to, because you are familiar with the type of people that live here.
Do you want the party loves a random NPC that I make? Because this is how you get that. And not the one I poured hours into.
Yeah, well, that's also why you don't want to invest a ton of time. Because, and this is something I think Derek can even speak to, he puts a lot of time into his NPCs. And I think he's been brokenhearted a couple times when an NPC ends up dead or completely ignored.
Yeah, I think he has.
So be flexible with this. Be open-minded.
I can be less flexible with my villains, though, right?
Well, because your villain is a mover and shaker. This isn't someone who's responding or someone who is reacting. This is someone who is proactive. And so, your BBEG is the BSD of your campaign. And, people cannot ignore his girth. And so...
Whoa! Talking about girth up in here?
You have to have a girthy vocabulary. And so the effect that this person has on the story, I'm the one who wants to control weather. I'm the one who wants to kidnap the princess and have her marry me.
Are you Ice King now?
What? Truly villainous stuff.
Yeah, truly. You're really just a lonely old man.
Yes. Yeah, if you could really just, get to his heart like the Grinch and just make it grow, then that's how you defeat him. But, your villain is going to be someone who's more active, is going to be a singular target, and is going to be someone, at least at some point in time, if not right off the rip, then over time is going to be, truly expansive in the story, or maybe even integral to the world in some way. But we'll cross that bridge, and in fact, if you ever do need to do a quick gen of an NPC, that's more than just kind of coming up with a name, because Diadem's made a good suggestion. Just have a list of some races, random names hanging around. But if you want to take a little deeper dive into that, we're going to go through an exercise in that technique here shortly.
All right.
Now, before that, though, you get first dibs. You're the DM here. I have foxdmnotes.docx open, and I want you to just spitball a couple NPCs out there for me.
Like just what I want for the party.
For the party, for the world. I mean, an NPC can also be a mover and shaker. Someone who's vital, like Tingle in Zelda.
Yeah, he's vital.
But everyone knows him.
Yeah, that's because he's a weirdo who shows up everywhere. There should be a character like that. In Alex's campaign, which is my boyfriend, he made the knife salesman, and he sells knives, but he goes on this long rant about the knife, the king of all knives that rules over all the other knives, and he's just a weirdo that shows up in almost every game that he runs.
and it's a simple concept. It's memorable, and he's either beloved and or
absolutely abhorred and hated.
That's as Evie was saying. And Fluffy had some good advice for you as well.
What's that?
Sometimes, the party will meet an NPC. You can go into more detail there. Other times, you might have an idea of a character you want to use, so that's a good place to make doing something important. Even if the party doesn't meet them, it's not wasted.
Point.
To seed your list, how about this? You were talking about in the exercise last night that they need a ship repairman.
Yeah, they need a shipwright.
A shipwright, yeah.
They should also have. They're also musicians, so maybe an actual musician would be fun to be around, or like maybe a doctor on the ship, a cook on the ship. We could do the shapeshifter ruler of that island we generated. We could do the tavern owner of the Silver Pony, I think it was. The Silver Pony.
Okay.
And just because that's going to be a place that's a raunchy dive that they're probably going to visit.
Okay.
Boatman, maker of the boats. Indeed. I have a concept for a villain that I love, but
Sure. Throw it out there.
it's just this really flamboyant character who likes to make a show out of things.
A flamboyant showman.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
So
he would
he's not
probably-
necessarily nefarious. He just kind of what he's sort of like muddles stuff up or kind of bungles through things and.
He's not exactly. He's more of a. He's obsessive, and his obsession would be probably with the party and getting them to perform a certain way. So it's definitely kind of malicious. He'll put them in danger because he wants to see them fight through that danger.
Okay.
Does that make sense? It's a sick obsession. But it's,
So he's someone though. This isn't necessarily like main villain. This is like a sub villain. This is like an antagonist that follows them around and like Ultros in Final Fantasy VI. Is that?
I don't know who that is.
No, this interview is over. No, I'm just kidding.
You want a knife in your back? 'Cause I can arrange for that.
Well, you have to talk to the king of all knives first. Spider Dragon 71. Howdy. Good evening. Would you prep a full city or town with all shops and services listed? Make menus for an inn. Spider Dragon. I think that is overly detailed. I won't say no. But you're gonna find yourself working for hours on this, and your players might go to the town, talk to someone, and then leave. And you're gonna be left with 50 hours of notes that your players just said, "Oh, cool." You can definitely overwork an area.
Yeah, I think that you could definitely do that.
So if you want to, if you have the time and you really want to, this is like a core essential, like maybe the city is the entirety of the campaign environment. And so because it's really close quarters and no one's really going to leave the city and you want to add extra flair and discovery in every alleyway, then perhaps that would warrant more attention. In many campaigns, or even printed modules, it doesn't get to that level of detail. So it's your comfort level and what you want to present as a DM. Throw out one or two other villains for me, Fox.
Villains?
Yeah, or even a concept. You don't even have to have a, I don't know, you could have a person in mind if you want.
The cult leader for the Stokatoan fiendish entity on that place island. Maybe the shadowy cabal on Rose's hometown.
The cabal leaders that are Genasi?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. All right. Now, there's obviously 11 billion more NPCs you can come up with in a setting like yours.
Yeah, 11 billion.
Models.
Yeah.
But
I'd probably only come up with about, maybe 3 really fleshed out ones,
Mm.
and then pull random ones out
Yeah,
per
and
island.
and that works because as a DM, that gives you a ton of flexibility. Because if the party is sending signals like, "Wow, we're really not interested in, people who juggle and perform and manipulate others," boy, we would probably just quit any game that forced that. And suddenly you're like, "Well, I'm glad I didn't introduce that flamboyant showman just yet."
Yeah.
It's you might be able to change or to somehow adapt your concepts on the fly, whether it's creating something or changing something or even taking something off the table discreetly that the players never knew was on the table to begin with.
Yeah. I mean, that's part of being a DM. You gotta improvise. That's like the #1 DM skill you need.
Yes, improvisation. Spider
Oh
Dragon
my-
says, I always find the one thing I don't do, the group goes to. Very frustrating. Thanks. 11 billion directions. Yes. So Spider Dragon, put one carrot out in front of the party, and realize that the carrot will provide a general direction, but they still might go to the left or right of it. So have some flexibility, and I wouldn't overwork it.
Gotcha.
All right. So whether you're doing some pre-planning because Rose left your office, it's nice and quiet now, you can sit down and you can kind of bang out some progress in developing Fox World.
Yes, tip my fingers and pet my cat who is sitting malevolently on my lap.
Make sure you have an ostentatious pinky ring also that you that you wear as you Dr. Evil your way through this here.
Indeed. It is only right.
All right, so if you recall, last night I had a handy-dandy guide to creating settlements, and it seemed like you were having a little bit of fun with that.
I don't know. Maybe a tad, a touch,
Just a tad.
A parcel, parsec.
Even a parsec of it. Wow. Well, then you are in luck, Miss Fox, because there is another random generation guide that I'm presenting to you that you can use to help provide a prompt for an NPC.
Well, please do.
And if you would like to generate some random numbers, I would like to take you through that process.
I would like to generate some random numbers. Demi, please.
All right.
Why are you like this dog? You have to use the restroom? You don't have to use the restroom, do you? I don't think so.
So everyone out there playing along at home, I want you to crack open your Dungeon Master's guides, and we are going to Chapter 4 to go through the process here. Page 89.
All right, let's generate some numbers. Yeah, I'm rubbing my hands together too, Evie. I'm excited. We've reached my favorite portion.
All right, so we're going to do a blind generation of an NPC and then apply something to the NPC, and then we're going to prompt an idea and then roll the numbers and have the numbers then retroactively attached. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Okay. So first things first. Maybe we don't have a name yet, and that's fine. Now, for something like an occupation and a history, it says in one sentence, describe the NPC's occupation and provide a brief historical note that hints at the character's past. Now, this isn't a random roll. Ooh, pardon me. Hiccup. This is something that we can either use to seed the NPC, or we can skip it and come back to it after the numbers give us an idea about who the character is. So,
all right.
Or something we can do is roll a 13-sided die, because there are 13 backgrounds in the player's handbook, and what is a background if not a person's occupation or history?
Ah, true. Very true. All right, let's do that. That'll be fun. 1d13.
All right. So, I don't know if I have a 13-sided generator here. I'll tell you what. Roll
Let me
roll
just get
2d20, and we'll see if either of those are 13 or below.
Okay.
14 and 13. All right. Background number 13 is the urchin.
Okay, cool.
Now, do we have to go through all of this? Not necessarily, especially because NPCs have certain personality traits, ideals, and bonds and whatnot. But this is going to give us maybe an idea of who this person is. So we have an urchin of some kind. Now, a notable trait about this NPC. Go ahead and roll 1d20.
Six.
6. A pronounced scar.
Oh, that's fun.
And that begs a lot of questions, doesn't it?
Yes, it does.
Ooh.
But it also fits in with the backstory, so...
It very much can, yeah. Did you get into a scrap? Is this, is this, if not a scar, is it a brand? Where you may be taken as a slave or something? Or is this self-inflicted for some reason? Do you belong to a gang? But anyway, let us leave. And let us continue, I mean.
Yes, leave
now,
and...
you can fully flesh out every NPC with a big old character list, or like a character sheet. But sometimes just generally knowing what they're better at and worse at can help. So I don't... I'll tell you what. I think I have a command for 4d6. Go ahead and roll that. And we're going to use the first two numbers to determine the high and low abilities. 2 and 1. All right, so the high ability is dexterity, and the low ability is strength.
Interesting.
Is any kind of a person forming in your mind right by this point?
A little bit, yeah.
Is this anything you want to reveal just yet, or are you keeping it in your noggin?
I'm keeping it in my noggin right now, but it's very street ratty if you want a preview.
Okay. Now, we are...
Or do you buy that? Sorry.
It's just a little snack, guys.
Oh boy. Anyways, what's next?
I need you to roll 2d20 because we're gonna figure out the talent and the mannerism of this character.
Alrighty. 2d20
9
is up.
and 5. All right, our NPC's talent is great at impersonations.
My. Sounds like a Kenku.
And the mannerism of this character is a 5. Enunciates overly clearly.
Oh god, there's an actor like that. I forget what his name is though. He was Galbatorix in the movie Aragon, but I'm sure that helps no one.
Unfortunately, not me.
Let me look it up.
But yes, this character overly enunciates his or her words.
It's John Malkovich.
Oh, John Malkovich. Okay.
Yeah, he overly enunciates. At least he did in that movie. It was... it was a tad bit annoying.
And you know what? Your players are going to remember this NPC probably because of something like that. And this prompt can take a lot of that impromptu roleplay. Like, you can roll with it, but maybe you wouldn't have come up with it yourself on the fly.
Right.
But with a simple dice roll, you now have a memorable part of this character that people are going to love, or they're going to hate, or they're going to love to hate it, or hate to love it.
I hope one of those?
Now, how does this NPC interact with other people? To discover that, I want you to roll a d12, please.
Alrighty. 1, 2, 3.
3. Blustering.
Blustering.
Someone who blusters and overly enunciates at the same time.
Wait. How would that work?
A lot of filler words. The party approaches, and the character, well, I never. How could you? Really? Oh, well, I say, good sir, good
No.
day to you. Yes,
Oh,
good
no.
day.
Oh God. Spare me. Spare me this mockery of justice.
Now, as far as useful knowledge is concerned, that's going to be up to you, because an NPC, they tend to be two-dimensional characters that serve a particular function to deliver information, initiate a quest. We're talking in meta terms, obviously.
Right.
This is going to
sounds like
really be your choice. If you wanted to randomize something, you could roll, I don't know, one of the intelligence skills and have it be related to that. Or honestly, you just have this worksheet ready to go with a blank, and you fill in the blank and have this character deliver.
Right. I mean, like, to me, this guy sounds like the tavern owner of the Silver Pony so far.
Okay.
And
Then
interesting information that he might have is like stories about the city's past and sort of why there's silver everywhere and superstitions, local superstitions. He would know that sort of thing, and that's useful.
And you know what?
No.
If he grew up as an urchin in the city, I mean, that plays into his background feature.
Yeah.
I think, though, that we're really starting to develop and fill in the details about this NPC.
Yeah.
Now, you already have rolled for it because you rolled 4d6, and we needed another 2d6 to discover our NPC's ideals.
Okay. Cool.
So we've already used the 2 and the 1, and that leaves behind the 1 and the 4.
Yeah.
So 1 is going to be a good ideal of life, which is number 4.
Okay. So you like light and goodness.
So these prompts are, I mean, you know, you toast a drink to life, L'chaim. It could be, you know what, I lived on the hard streets growing up in Silvervale, and now that I've made it, I want to live life and help others do the same. It could be an appreciation for life. It could be more of an elemental cause that might end up opposing those cemeteries that are starting to come to life, right? On life.
On life.
So I think...
Life.
Oh, go ahead.
I don't know. I'm crazy. Go on.
All right. So he has an ideal that you can translate. Your prompt as a DM is good, generally good. How do you, I don't know how you quantify or express good, but it is good and with the ideal of life.
All right.
Next up, he's going to have a bond. And I need you to roll a d10, please, to discover this NPC's bond.
5.
5. He or she is captivated by a romantic interest.
That sounds hilarious.
Could be someone in the party, could be another NPC that we just hinted at existing. A romantic interest could be a person, it could even be a pursuit. Oh, I've always heard of the One Piece treasure. There's a lot of romance to that, am I correct?
Yeah.
People
there's a
want
lot
it,
of-
desire it, it forms lifestyles and...
Yeah. Yeah, it does.
So you can take this prompt in a lot of directions, but there it is for you.
Yeah.
Now, lastly, and certainly not leastly, I would like you to roll another d12, and this is going to form the flaw or the secret as you desire it to be.
11.
11. My. 11. Possession of forbidden lore.
Oh my.
Oh. What forbidden
How-
lore does this NPC have?
Gee, who knows? It might be forbidden by the world, it might be forbidden by the government on his local island.
Yeah. What if this NPC, while he's generally good and values life, sees the cult rising up as a way to tear down the socioeconomic disparity in Silvervale? And so he doesn't like the cult, but he likes generally what they're trying to do. And so maybe he knows of the cult or cult members. I keep saying he. It could be anyone, really.
Really?
It could be something along those lines.
Good. I'd be open to that. Sounds like that would be the sort of forbidden lore that's on this island. Yes, the Pact of Clock. Yes, I know it well.
Yeah. Oh yeah, the Clocktians. Oh, you can't trust them. As far as I can throw them, and believe me, strength is my low stat.
Oh my.
Now, when we were going through this process, did you feel that this character was slowly coming to life in front of you?
Oh yeah.
You know, just detail after detail, one bit at a time. And I know you do art on the side, and so we could even talk, layers or...
I mean, there's just like... Sometimes I draw a character before I even know what they're about, and that forms my opinion of them. Or that informs my opinion of them. Or, that makes sense?
Yes. And in this case, then, because we drew the character before we knew the character, is this character the one that you want to make be the bartender of the Silver Pony?
Yeah, that's fine.
All right, so our character needs a name, owner, or owner or whatever, chief bartender.
I like Lucky Louie that Evie suggested earlier.
Okay.
Why do they call you Lucky? You see these scars?
Now, if you wanted to get a little bit more detail, we could reference back to the island and say he's one of the majority or minority races. You can roll a d10 and go for the race. You could go for, you could draw on these other exercises that we've done to apply some information, some further information. If you really wanted to, like if you're honestly stuck and you're like, I don't know, maybe he's a gnome, but I don't know if he seems like a gnome. You could just roll a d10 and suddenly we'll consult what race that he or she is. And you could actually go through the random character generation that we do on this channel as well to now fill in the details, because it's important. You know, a dwarf could be any of the things that we just made. An elf can be. So, the race can be important, but it's not as important as who the character is and what this NPC is doing in the world as a part of your story.
Exactly. You want who they are before what they are.
Yep. So from here, you have plenty of space on the worksheet that you could fill in other details and just roll it. It's a female mountain dwarf cleric of light, and you could just go through the motions. Okay.
Possibly.
So now we have inadvertently made this one NPC. Now let's challenge ourselves and say, all right, let's predefine an NPC concept, then roll the dice and find out how we can square the circle.
Okay.
Which NPC would you like to prompt here?
Well, which one sounds... We do that. Let's do one of the Cabal Genasi.
Okay. So we have a name of some kind. We'll call this the Wishing Well Atoll Cabal member. I guess Genasi Cabal member. So in this case, we're actually kind of preloading. Maybe we already know We want this to be a female water genasi wizard or something like that. So now we can bring the results of that variety to the table, and we'll go through what we're going to do here. You may even be able to fill in the occupation and history and the useful knowledge because of that. But let's humor the dice and go ahead and do another 2d20 to try and find a background.
All right, dice. Let's see what you got.
12 and 16. A soldier on a soldier island. At that, it has the wall. It's protected.
That's interesting. What else?
And of course, I mean, you could roll if you want, you could roll a d8 to determine a specialty type of soldier. You could just leave it at soldier. It's up to you.
5. That's 5.
A healer. Okay.
Interesting. That's definitely adding more definition to this character.
Now, gotta scroll up. All right. I want you to roll 1d20 for a notable appearance of the NPC.
All right. 12.
An unusual skin color.
Well, that's kind of what genasi are normally.
It writes itself, ladies and gentlemen. We wanted although you could also use this as a prompt. It's an unusual skin color for a genasi.
Okay, maybe he's purple then. Who knows?
Or has like a cuttlefish style like camouflage or something, or like active color shifting or something.
Yeah, that would be neat.
Patterns, like a living Rorschach test or something.
Yeah.
All right. His or her abilities, high and low. Do another 4d6, please. Yeah, mood skin, exactly, Evie.
Mood skin. It's fun. 1 and 3.
Oh, Fox, if you were creating a character right now, well, I don't know, a 9 wouldn't be terrible. Anyway, all right, so 1 and 3. Strength is high, Constitution is low.
Okay, so a bit of a weaker potato.
Well, in a sense, the original Rose's original character had a high strength, low con. Or something to think about. What if so we have a soldier, is probably not a soldier any longer, ended up on this governmental board, this secret cabal. Maybe something happened that kind of broke this person's health. A disease, or maybe contact with whatever's in the wishing well. That could even go into the unusual skin color.
Could. It definitely could.
And the story loops back on itself and continues to unravel.
Indeed. Also, let's just quickly roll a 1d4. You have that? Yeah. For genasi type.
Okay, and are you considering 1 to be air because it's A?
Yeah, probably.
Okay.
So, air genasi.
Circles within circles, plots Evie.
Yes.
A mystery wrapped in an enigma.
Yes, a mystery beyond time and space.
Now, I need 2d20
Alright.
for the talent and the mannerism of this character.
13, 3 and 19. That's the words.
The talent, unbelievably lucky.
I can imagine that.
So maybe this person had an encounter that honestly should have killed. And I mean, of course, we have Lucky Louie up above, who's not unbelievably lucky. But here we have a name of this person who is unbelievably lucky in some regard.
Mm-hmm.
And this prompts ever more stories for you to tell with this character.
Yes. I once had an axe go flying past my face. And it unleashed a whole set of traps that was like a, what do you call them? Ruth Goldberg machines?
Oh, Rube Goldberg's? Yeah.
That opened the path for me. And that just happened.
Diadums is asking, what do you think of having a secondary plot going on in the background while the main plot is happening? Make sure you're not confusing the players. I mean, there's always stuff happening in the world.
Yeah, I feel like there's a macro plot and then there's a micro plot, and you can do that a lot easier, like, in different towns and, like, areas. The macro plot is the world plot, the micro plot's, like, the plot of the town you're in.
Yeah.
And the micro and macro plots can tie into each other, but they don't have to.
Yeah, and you don't want things to be confused either. That suddenly the micro plot is actually a vital clue, and the game derails because they want to find the cattle rustler, who is just a small-time, small potato criminal in a ranching town, when you're trying to stop the Lich General from marching, burning goblins across the frontier. Kind of like what we were talking about last night.
Yeah. Don't worry, they've got this. It's just a forest fire.
Yeah. So don't confuse the players, because there's a bit of an unwritten rule of when we're sitting down, we're expecting you to present the things that are going to be important to us in front of us. And if you put too many important things in front of us, it could confuse us. And Diadums, I'll tell you, this is sometimes a line that I feel I'm really walking on the Tuesday campaign. And I really hope that I've been more successful than not. I don't think I've always been successful with it. I hope that I've been more successful than not in keeping the story moving forward while adding, not adding, but making sure that there are background things happening while there's this overarching main pursuit. So now, the mannerism of this NPC. 19. Bites fingernails.
Do Genasi have fingernails?
If not, what would this person bite instead, or do something similar?
I don't know, some weird air thing? Like... I don't know.
What about,
maybe they, like, have
choose
this
the lip?
whistling... Maybe. Like, choose lip. That could work.
Okay. So some kind of, an oral fixation, a chewing, a gnawing, like a...
They chew bubblegum, and they chew it with their mouth open.
Okay, there you go.
It's...
Actually, that'd be kind of interesting. You have an air genasi who lives in a watery area. Maybe they chew that gillyweed that they've been harvesting.
Maybe.
And it gives them kind of an effervescent, like, it's not a chemical addiction. Maybe it just kind of tickles and feels good. But they're always chewing this gillyweed because it makes them fizz inside with the air production.
Oh, yeah, that sounds good. It's like... Sounds like tobacco, though.
Yeah.
Honestly, at this point.
It could be chaw, yeah. In my campaign world, we call it blacktooth root.
Oh, jeez. Tobacco in your world.
Well,
Apparently
just a chaw variety.
I see.
Pipeweed is something different. Interactions with others. How does this NPC get along with other people? Roll a d12 for me, please.
Alright. Excitement.
5. Curious. So, curious, maybe gnaws at fingers or chews or whatever, is a very curious person. And it's probably a good thing they're lucky, because there's several sayings about being too curious.
Yeah.
Useful knowledge. Again, this is going to be up to you to fill in, Fox. What does this important Cabal member know?
Maybe the true nature of the wishing well.
Dun dun dun. And I'll even put that here. Dun.
And I don't
dun,
even know.
dun.
I don't even know the true nature of the wishing well yet. So they've got it up on me.
And it can always be what you need it to be until it's finally revealed. And when you do, if you've been paying attention as a DM, it will be exactly what it has to be.
Hopefully.
Now we're going to use the other d6s that you rolled up above. which
yes.
were 3 and a 3.
Yes.
So it's good, evil, a lawful ideal of honor.
Lawful ideal of honor.
We do have a soldier.
Yeah, that's true. Fits. The stuff writes itself, as you say.
So this could be a way. Maybe the person isn't willing to give up this information, but the PCs could arrive and put down a local disaster, like helping the looming war as the isolated thing that's happening.
This guy smells like the weak link in the Cabal, the one that's the most easy for the PCs to access.
That could very well be. Maybe he earned that share because he was incredibly lucky, and the other person died or something. And
he's also a doctor, so there's that.
Yeah. And not to be confused with like he's a bumbler or she's a bumbler. That's not necessarily the case, but all right. Let's create a bond for this NPC. I need a D10 and then a D12 for his or her flaw or secret. 5. Oh, ooh.
Again.
Captivated by a romantic interest.
Interesting.
Could this be the same romantic interest that our other NPC has? And if so, what is the scale of this romantic interest? If it's a person.
It's Louis, clearly.
Oh, so they've been writing letters to each other, maybe.
I somehow doubt that, but it's good.
So this could mean, I don't know, what if this turns out to be that it's someone who will turn out to be a villainous character, but maybe he or she is a very charismatic person who's known in this quadrant of Fox World, and so has a lot of admirers. And so people absolutely adore this person, and this person is actually, evil or a villain in some way.
Yeah, possibly. The flaw and secret landed on a 7.
Oh, 7. Has a powerful enemy.
That makes sense.
Ooh.
They're not a secret cabal for no reason. Sorry, a mysterious cabal for no reason.
Mysterious. So, to keep things moving along, because I know we've been here for about an hour.
Yep.
I don't know how much time you have left, but we've warmed up on... Oh, go ahead, say that again.
I don't know either.
All right.
I'm gonna check in.
We've warmed up on NPCs.
Yes.
And I think that you have a notion for how you can process this, and just thoughts beget thoughts beget thoughts, and you can just build a world around an NPC, let alone several, that we've even made maybe an inadvertent connection, if not through the same idea, person, philosophy, piece of artwork, or whatever. Then we have this theme of love, or we have this a connection in some other way.
Right.
So now, what we're gonna do is take our warmed up brains, and you already went over a couple villain ideas that you would really like.
Right.
So we are gonna make another NPC, but we're gonna add a couple extra steps. We're gonna make 2 villains.
Ooh.
That it will end up repeating most of the NPC creation, though there's going to be a couple twists to it. Twist with a twist.
Oh, twist.
So we're going to make we're going to do a blind one and apply a concept to it. Then we're going to make a concept and apply the generation to it.
Okay.
All right. So the adventure villain that we're going to generate now, I need you to roll a D20, please.
Alrighty, 14.
14. A humanoid schemer seeking to rule.
Interesting.
Humanoid gives you a lot of flexibility.
It really does. Everything falls under that umbrella.
A lot of things do. Now, our villain has a scheme. I need you to roll a D8, please.
All right, 1d8. 3.
All right, this is going to be a magical scheme. Now I need you to roll a 1d6, please.
2.
Build a construct or magical device.
Interesting. My brain just flashed giant robots. And I'm like, are we doing giant robots?
Maybe yeah. Maybe, they're called breachers, and they can cross the water or earth bands or something like that. Who knows?
Who knows?
Breachers can survive the fiery and cold environments of the south or whatever. Or it could be... Oh, go ahead.
Have you ever seen Nausicaa of the Valley of the Wind?
A long time ago, yes.
There were like these giant war machines that were weapons of mass destruction that were really cool.
War does seem to be brewing in this world, huh?
Yeah, it does.
And
or like undertones of it anyway.
Well, yeah, it gets to simmer. And by the way, have you seen now that ideas are coming to you more easily since we've established a foundation, and layer by layer we're building it up, and now you can refer back to it to have organic growth going forward in your story, in your world.
Yes, it's quite exciting. Really. And yeah, coffee. I know those giant titans. Those things are scary looking, and I love them. I adore them. So good.
Now, what is our villain's method for achieving a construct or magical device? I need you to roll a 1d20 for me, please.
Alrighty. 1d20. 2.
Assault or beatings?
Yucky. Not a good person here. Not a good person. We have bad person alert here. Someone, a wee woo.
This is someone who they want the unobtainium, and they're going to go get it. They're going to obtain the unobtainium to make their construct. Yep, stealing resources, bullying people. The Fire Nation, really.
Yes, the Fire Nation attack.
The beatings continue until I get all my magical spiral coral that I need to make my engine or whatever.
Spiral coral.
Well, hey, you were talking about it, right?
Let's not use the spiral coral as
okay,
a device,
right.
Because that'll create a field of bad.
A field of bad. Is that the name for it?
Yeah, just imagine maelstroms everywhere.
Oh, gotcha.
And typhoons. And weirder things happening than that.
Now, our villain is going to have a weakness. I would like you to roll 1d8 for me, please, to determine it.
Okay. I am excited. 5.
The villain is destroyed if it speaks its true name.
That like a Rumpelstiltskin?
Kind of.
Huh. How does that work?
You could take it very literally, where you trick the villain into speaking its true name. It could also look at it this way too. If the players get the villain to monologue, and they record the monologue to...
so you could interpret it different ways.
Well, what if they spread the word? What if this villain is an important political figure?
I see.
Who's bullying people behind the scenes to make a power play. And so they get the villain to confess. So we're taking a sidestep to its true name, and we're saying its true purpose, its true intention. And that is what will undo the villain.
I do like that.
Now, that said, in fantasy, true names...
Kenku are the police reporters. The stenographers in a courtroom.
You were kind of dabbling. Maybe one of the NPCs prior was a Kenku, the urchin.
Maybe. Yeah, bless Kenku. Those little burbs.
All right, now the rest of this might seem familiar, but this is going to go off of the villainous prompts that we've created. Our occupation or history. Do another 2d20 to determine a background.
Alright. 10.
10. So 13 was Urchin. 12 is... Ooh, that was super scrolling. 12 is Soldier. 11 is Sailor. 10 is Sage.
Interesting.
And for Sage, I'd like you to roll a d8, please.
1.
An Alchemist.
That's not good. I'm sensing human transmutation going on. Giant homunculus or something.
Maybe that's what the construct is. Look at a flesh golem. A flesh
Yeah.
golem isn't undead.
Yeah, it's not.
But it's fun to trick your players into thinking it is.
Alright. I got a vague update from Pete on D&D time. It looks like it'll be around 12:30ish, which is 1:30ish for you.
Oh, 1:30ish? So, alright, so they're still going for a little while.
Yeah, that's how it is in D&D.
No, that's fine. We can get through this, and then maybe with a little bit of time we still have, we can go back and maybe fill in some more details of the things that we've already generated together.
Okay.
All right. We have to go to our NPC stuff. Okay. I am going to need a D20 roll from you, please. Hi, Buddy Love. Welcome. Good to see you again.
17.
The appearance of this person, they have a distinctive nose.
That seems about right. I like that nose.
And nose could be beak. It could just be nose. It could be something else. Nasally, I suppose.
Usually. I do like distinctive nose, like the crooked nose thing. Good.
Ah, okay.
What's next?
I need a 4d6, please.
Alright, for the weaknesses. 3 and 3.
3 and 3.
That doesn't really work.
Alright, so we'll take the 3, and we'll go Constitution is high, and we'll skip over the second 3 and go to 5, and Wisdom is low.
Sounds about right.
We have an alchemist dabbler, someone who's reinforced his or her body in some way, perhaps. Ultra tough. Now, for someone who has a low wisdom, they tend to be oblivious or absent-minded.
It's highly conceivable that he's not aware of the consequences of his own actions, and that can lead to some beautiful tragedy.
Yes, a villain who doesn't even see himself as a villain in a non-ironic fashion.
Indeed. Good stuff.
All right.
This is a fun guy.
2d20, por favor.
Alright, 2d20. 17 and 5.
This villain has a talent. He or she or it is an expert juggler.
That is lame.
It's lame? What?
I don't. Where did he learn it?
If you're an alchemist, you have to juggle a lot of tasks, maybe even a couple vials at the same time.
I suppose that would be a useful skill.
Or juggling potions. He's good at Chopper. He's good at juggling tasks. It could be literal. It could be metaphorical.
Okay, I just have to learn how to take things in the metaphorical sense because my first reaction is the literal sense.
And it can be. And this is part of the fun challenge. If you say I'm going to open myself to randomness, how are you going to make this work? You brought it into the world, and how are you going to use this theme of an expert juggler?
You can make that. You can make that interesting, like in combat.
You could have a really interesting combat, right? Random potion or effects that occur.
Yeah.
And think about this as well.
Mm-hmm.
Here is the big bad evil guy of Fox World campaign.
Yep.
And he comes out and he's juggling colorful balls. And suddenly, you're like, this isn't a monster. This is a person who just enjoys a hobby. And maybe in that moment of hesitation, it gets you to, it gets you to think more about the villain. Because this person has a hobby that's not plotting to take over the world.
Indeed.
Maybe as an alchemic sage, as a student, he always had a knack for he always had a knack for juggling, and he said, "Oh, if I got to mix up my potions anyway, watch." And he started showing off, and it just sort of stuck. Yeah, he didn't do the beaker swirl like most people would do, and so he used this, and maybe he was trying to impress someone for all we know. And maybe that's what could have caused an accident, and that reinforced him and gave him this super con. And the super con then goes on to have him realize, well, if I can Hulk up, I mean, maybe not strength-wise, but if I can become, resistant to disease and all this other stuff, what else can I do? What else can I make? Or who else can I make? And so we see now, we've just created an entire history of this villain character going all the way back to high school basic science. If you wanted to stick with that, I don't want to put words in your mouth.
I maybe have a slightly different perception of it, but
sure. What is it?
It's just I don't know. That sounded good. Never mind. My brain immediately was just like,
"This is your story."
That train of thought you had? I'm going out that window. Good luck finding me.
Evie says, "What if he finds it easier to think while juggling?"
I do like that.
You were saying that you were petting your evil cat, or you're steepling your fingers or whatever.
Yes.
This villain juggles.
Things. Yep.
All right. His or her or it, I don't know, mannerisms. We had a 5.
Which is enunciates
overly clearly.
I'm so good at juggling, I don't even need to look while I intimidate you.
Maybe the juggling's a trigger for him. If you stop his juggling, he enrages. Oh.
Maybe.
And when we see a pattern like this as well, independent characters can still share similar traits. There's nothing wrong with that. You can also perhaps use this as a clue or an indicator to your players that the villain hails from a particular culture. Maybe there's a culture, an island culture, where this is how the people speak.
That's true. And I like Evie's idea of, he's rejecting culture.
I'm so good at juggling, I don't even need to look while I intimidate you. Maybe he enunciates overly clearly because his natural accent takes that much effort to obscure. Oh, that could be it too. So the enunciation could be a huge clue.
Yeah. Good.
Yeah. Excellent prompts.
90.
We're currently on page 90, Chopper.
Okay. There you go, Chopper.
Now, how does this villain interact with other people? This could be his own minions. This could be her interaction with the party, or something along those lines. I need a D12, please.
5.
Curious.
Man, I'm getting a lot of 5.
A curious villain who wants to experiment, who wants to create.
And who interacts not overly negatively with people. Well, mostly anyway. I mean, there's still the beatings and assault stuff, but
there is.
I mean, that's not how he interacts with people normally.
The useful knowledge is something that you'll be providing, so I'm not gonna put anything there myself. If there's something that you think you have in mind, what useful knowledge would this villain possess?
Gosh, I'm not sure. He seems like he's from a plot that, like, on a different generated this far.
Can you say it again? Katie Sue is rating us, and
Hello.
and so welcome, Katie. But unfortunately, the notification blotted out your words.
Oh, yeah. Just that he feels like he's from a different plot, from a different island than what we know so far.
Okay.
That I can't really put down the useful information because I don't think he quite fits in with any of the established plots or islands so far. But that's
Okay.
not to say we couldn't make something for him.
It could be what if he knows, or what if he thinks that he knows the secret to crossing the land access or the water access,
Maybe.
or something along those lines. All right, let's go back up to your 4d6. We had to skip over the 1-3, so we're gonna start there, and we're gonna go for 3 and 4 for the ideals. That's gonna bring us back to a lawful ideal of logic.
That sounds about right. Science.
Would you say this writes itself?
Yes, I've
Of
said this. I've said this on numerous occasions.
A villainous sage alchemist who employs cold logic. Now, our villain's bond is a D10, and I'm going to need a D12 for a flaw or secret.
Great. D10 and then a D12.
Yes, please.
1.
Dedicated to fulfilling a personal life goal.
Wow, that doesn't sound like a villain at all, does it?
And the
4.
flaw or secret is 4. Envies another creature's possessions or station. The Nordic geek, I see distinctive noise, and I picture an alchemist with flatulence. Did I put noise, or did I put
Nose.
Oh, nose. Okay. Well, I mean, it could still be it could still be a concern.
Yeah, that's a concern. No worries. That's fun. So this definitely sounds like a villain.
Is any of your villainous concepts coming to mind if we were to retroactively apply? Would this be the flamboyant showman obsessed with the party?
So. I don't think so.
Not the
That
cult
one's
leader of the
actually
Kuotoa native cult?
I don't think so.
What about, is this a representative of the Mechanus Island?
Wow, maybe. Maybe. Mechanus would it's just so alien that you'd have to... Jeez, I don't know. It has to be humanoid. Mechanus doesn't really work that well with...
An agent, a Mechanus agent.
Perhaps.
Someone who has been influenced by them or has been converted by them. Someone who enunciates the common language. Someone who is lawful, follows logic. Someone who can multitask, such as being an expert juggler while enunciating every word, while also conducting alchemical science.
Could be.
Someone who wants to build a construct or magical device.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe envies another creature's possession or station. This could have been someone who was captured by the Mechanus Island and again converted to its cause, and still maybe remembers that glimmer of freedom when they were a sailor, like the party. What if this is like a 7 of 9? You get the reference?
Not really.
Seven of Nine in Star Trek Voyager was a Borg.
I see.
The crew rescued her and were able to remove most of the implants. But while being human again, for the most part, she didn't grow up as a human. She grew up as a Borg. Her mind was structured around Borg customs, culture, and technology and processes. And she had these cold, logical thoughts like the Borg do. At the same time, she's still a human, and it was a conflict within her. And what we may have here, it could end up being a tragic villain. Someone who used to be a sailor, like the party, was captured by the Mechanus and was converted and sent out to go bully people for resources, to gather information, samples, people, to try and make contracts, because Mechanus might have analyzed that they are too different themselves to interact, and so they have an intermediary, in a sense. And this could simply be an extension of that island. And maybe the party doesn't know or find out ever, or not until late in the game, or something along those lines. And yet they see someone who's envious of the party that he has to, I don't know, destroy, consume, render down in some alchemical bath for their biofluids. Something like that.
I mean, it's feasible. It's definitely very Star Trek-y.
What is Star Trek but a giant sailing campaign?
Yeah. Someone's a Star Trek nerd is all I'm saying. But that's a possible option for him.
What I would like you to do now, I mean, so we've taken a completely random set of prompts and are kind of retroactively fitting it into what a villain in your concept could be. Now I want you to pluck a villain from your thoughts, whether you've already shared it or not. We're going to prime our brains with that villain, and we're going to go through the exercise and see how the villain manifests in that sense.
Okay. Let's do the Kuatoa leader boy.
All right, a Kuatoa native cult leader on Silvervale Island.
Yep.
All right, so I'm going to go to page 74 in the DMG for anyone who wants to play along at home. Now, we have, if we're saying it's Kuatoa and whatnot, if we get conflicting roles, let's roll with it and see if that can add to the story somehow without spoiling the image of this Kuatoa native cult leader that's, bringing back undead and is like resurging and rebelling against the people who have taken over their homeland here.
All right.
I would like you to roll 1d20, please.
Do this. 18.
A humanoid, raider, or ravager.
Okay.
Cults might need sacrifices, and where are you going to get them?
Sure.
The objective or scheme, I think we have that in mind by the preceded concept of this cult leader. This might give us a look at how it gets employed. So I'm going to jump to page 94. And I would like you to roll 1d8, please.
7.
Ooh, revenge.
Ah, that fits in well.
This fits in. Anyone who's been following along at home, this is not rigged. This is not rigged at all. But you are getting independent verification from the cosmos itself that this is what was meant to be. I would like you to roll 1d4 now, please.
All right. 1.
Avenge a past humiliation or insult.
Does write itself, doesn't it?
And what would be the insult? Having his people all but killed off or enslaved or driven off their homeland or something?
Yeah, possibly. Maybe the torn down deity.
That's right! Oh, the statue!
Yeah, that happened.
That happened! Well, thank you for remembering that. and yeah, we even said that's what caused the cult to start stirring. Because it was like the last straw. It was like the most offensive thing.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, for everyone out there, that was a random roll that we rolled with, and now look at that. It's growing organically. It is just, it's happening. It just, we've used rollout in Pokemon, and we just keep hitting harder and harder. Now, what is the method that our villain is going to use through this cult? I would like you to roll a d20, please. Are we sure this is a bad guy, asks S. Wild.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. 19.
19. So he's doing this through a vice. I would like another d4 roll, please.
Ooh, that sounds interesting. 1.
Adultery.
Interesting vice. How does that work? So the concept is we're luring people from one relationship into another. It could be sexual, it could be emotional, it could be in the sense that there is a cultural norm on this island of monogamy. It is pulling people into a poly system. Or even if it's a poly system, it's luring people into exclusivity with monogamy. It's a change in the nature of the relationships between people. I see. Yes, you do smell cultism. You do, lazy monkey.
Yes, we are talking about a Kuo-Toa cult.
Good times.
Now, seduction is an option under Vice, and so we can, it could be the same thing but different. Here's something else to consider as well. Mm-hmm. If we have this Kuo-Toa, we have someone who wants to inflict revenge on the people who drove his people out.
Right.
What if that is done through deception?
Or what about the wild magic zone?
And this could mix in there as well.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe that wild magic zone affect, people and their inhibitions and things like that.
Yeah, it could influence their decision making. It could do something like the Kuo-Toa, the cult leader, or even the cultists might now be able to take on more humanoid forms because we have a humanoid raider or ravager. Mm-hmm. And what if what they're raiding, and I want to make sure I'm careful in how I present this because I think the idea could work, but I want to make sure that we're not crossing any comfort level boundaries. But if we're raiding the concept of a relationship or the concept of a society, and it's done in a way that maybe wants to embarrass the people who were the ones who put down the natives, a revenge that could take place is suddenly a bunch of half Kuo-Toa babies are being born. Because there are men and women through this adulterous influence of the cult are helping to produce the next generation of people who live in Silvervale, and the wild magic might allow for future generations to blend genetics. I'm trying to be discreet about how I present this. Because it doesn't have to be forceful per se, but it could just be, you know what? If we can't fight them out, we'll breed them out. We'll embarrass them. They don't want to look on us. We're little Kuo-Toas. Well, congratulations, you got a Kuo-Toa baby.
That's definitely an option, and I do like that Lazy Monkey points out that it's, you know, or what is it? Deli? Is that how you pronounce that? Delay. Adultery is from adulterare, which is to pollute, defile, or commit adultery. And this is a very religious place.
It is. Oh, yeah. I should have that document open so we can reference that directly. I actually have it. It's open. It's just minimized. Shame on me.
So there's probably a lot extra sort of stuff going on. It's probably a lot of defiling. It's probably a lot of, like, just, and, you know, Kuo-Toa half babies sort of things going on.
It gets into a lot of Cult of Dagon stuff in the Cthulhu mythos, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Suddenly fish people.
Yeah, suddenly fish people. It's getting weird.
All right. Our villain's weakness. I need you to roll a d8, please.
Okay. Is everyone...
Exactly, Lazy Monkey. Where's Innsmouth when you need it? Or Innsmouth. Muth.
Yes, Innsmouth.
Muth. 7. Ooh. Oh. Ah,
What?
Fox. Ah.
What?
The villain falls when an ancient enemy forgives its past actions.
Okay. What do you got? What do you got?
Resolution, peace. This island is being torn apart, right? Socioeconomically among the gnomes and humans, but especially with the Kuo-Toa. The villain's plans of revenge and, you know, in making fish babies to embarrass and to stir the pot and to like tear down other people's monuments because they tore down ours. You know, they bring a knife, we bring a gun, kind of one-upsmanship.
Yeah.
All of that is defeated when the sense of revenge and the sense of we're different and the embitterness falls away. And we realize that either we're all monsters and we actually accept that, and so we actually love our Kuo-Toa babies, or we realize that we're all people who may look differently, but we're all still people. And so the forgiveness breaks this curse of bitterness. This sense of revenge is suddenly snuffed out.
Yes,
because the humans and gnomes say, you know what? We never said this before, but we're sorry. Can we make it up? Can we make peace?
It's like, no, forever you shall live, blah blah blah, and then there's like this half Kuo-Toa child hanging on to like a gnome dad's hand.
Yeah, oh, like the final scene, it's like a stormy night or something, crack a boom, thunder, and the villain is like, no, I'll have my revenge. And like, but we love, you know, this is our future, and
yeah, and then the villain's own people starts turning on him because they're like, hey, we want to be a part of that future, and things like that.
And he clearly has to fall off of a cliff, like onto the shattered statue of the Kuo-Toa that started this whole thing, and it symbolizes you know, like peace and resolution and or something.
Yeah, something. All right, let's keep going.
Yep.
Good. It's good.
We're getting distracted by awesome content.
I know.
How dare us? How dare us? All right. I need a 2d20. Let's find a background for this villain.
Okay.
10. We have another sage. Roll me a d8, please.
Okay. Just d8 work? I don't think it does. So sassy. 4.
A librarian. The keeper of books and wisdom. Someone who stores knowledge. It doesn't even have to be books. It could be an oral tradition if we wanted it to.
Or like cave writings or whatever people have.
Yeah. The old ways.
Yes, Theo.
The old ways of the old gods.
Appearance? Is that a one
Appearance, yeah. We are going to go back to non-player characters. I need a D20, please.
Yes, 19.
Exceptionally beautiful.
Oh, it's a woman. Oh, it's a sexy Kuotoa.
An exceptionally beautiful Kuotoa.
We
Well,
were talking about this last night, Daddy.
ladies and gentlemen, it writes itself. We have these great ideas, and the cosmos says, you know what? It needs to be that way.
Yeah, so now we have a hot, fishy waifu, yes.
And you know what? You want to lead. You want to have this again. You know, seduction and adultery could go hand in hand. But if we just look at it as, you know, changing the way, we could have this exceptionally charismatic cult leader that's charismatic. What? Anyway. Yeah, we have someone who says, yeah, we're going to make a bunch of Kuotoa babies and you're not going to know about it until it's too late. And haha, the joke's on you. That is until people set aside their differences and realize we're all one family.
All right.
All right. I need a 46. Yeah, you're 2 steps ahead of me. 2, 3, 3, 4. All right, so 2 and 3. High dex, low con.
Interesting. And of course we can tweak these. Like,
Yeah.
I envision like a high charisma probably.
Yeah, you know, charisma could be tied. It could be like, it could be a 19 score to a 20 score of dex if you want. This is simply providing a little bit of maybe a physical outline for the character.
Yeah, they're a little sickly. That seems to be a theme in this island.
Well, there is this stench coming up, right? From this like kind of old graveyard and the undead and all this that's happening. It could be affecting people, like those clouds or the fog, right?
Right.
All right, now we need a talent and a mannerism for this villain. Please roll me 2d20.
13 and 17.
13 and 17. Drinks everyone under the table.
Okay. With that low con, I would pay money to see that. Maybe it's some weird Kuotoa drink.
Yeah, or it could be, I don't know, maybe sailors challenge each other. Hey, how much salt water can you drink before throwing up? Well, the Kuotoa is going to be like, yes, please. I'll drink salt water all day long.
Or it could be like an addiction, I don't know. Like some sort of other substance.
In what, Indiana Jones in Raiders of the Lost Ark, you've seen that, right?
Yeah.
So there's the scene where the oh shoot, what's her name? Anyway, she's like in Mongolia doing a drinking game, and she wins, but she's drunk and still sort of passes out. She just does it in a way that is in a victory pose. So she can drink people under the table. Doesn't mean she doesn't get drunk.
Right.
Her mannerism is 17. She paces.
That seems like a thing for her to do.
Thinking of the old ways, plotting, revenge. Oh, pacing and plotting revenge.
Yeah, pretty much.
That goes webbed hand in webbed hand.
Yes, indeed. Interaction, let's see. That's a D12?
Yes, that is a D12. Blustering.
Is that the stumbling one?
When she speaks, like she has so many words they just sort of spill out of her mouth. Yes, we'll do this and that, and oh, I need you to, and she can trip over her words. She's full of ideas and is repetitive or very verbose.
Kind of endearing in a way.
She's very good at monologuing her evil plan.
Yeah. Yep, of course, it's very fitting for a cult leader.
Useful knowledge she has. Do you have an idea of what's like a sentence or two of some useful knowledge that she'd have?
she's the villain. She's trying to, I don't know, resurrect the ancient god or something.
Sure.
Who knows? Maybe she has some world plot information. Maybe there was like some dark figure in the past that ties to the world plot.
Or it could even be the nature of the world itself. That could shake a lot of people.
Yeah.
She is a denizen of the sea.
She is. You might know a little bit about the problems. Ideal.
Yes, we are doing 3 and 4. We have another lawful. So we have lawful logic again.
That seems about right. Revenge is very logical, cold, calculating.
Very she's methodical in her plots.
Mm-hmm.
That's why she probably learned some dirt on the leaders of her enemies.
Probably. I think she actually, the illegitimate ruler of this island is actually one of the TUE-SAT.
Ah, I love it. I love it. And again, I still don't have that document open, and you're here going back to the content you've already made, and you're hooking it in, and it's binding everything together. And Lazy Monkey says a Lovecraftian cult with knowledge that can shake the foundations of the world? Nope, didn't see that one coming.
No, that's totally not normal for Lovecraftian cults.
And I need a 10 and a 12, please.
1.
Okay.
Dedicated to fulfilling a personal goal, so that's kind of right on the money.
Yep.
And a D12 is 2.
She enjoys decadent pleasures. Like making coaton babies.
Yeah, I could sort of see her personality. This works. This works. And you can use this as like a template for villains that you have a more established idea of.
Oh yeah. This could be your big bad evil guy of the ultimate campaign that you're running. This could just be the boss of a dungeon. You know, it's not even a part of the local meta or the local plot, like the thing that's going wrong on this island. This could be a sub boss to that even. So you get to scale the importance of the NPCs, but you have the prompt in order to be able to do so. Yeah, Lazy Monkey, this is the one channel on Twitch where RNG is absolutely our friend. We seek it, we're empowered by it.
It's strange. I've never had RNG be so nice to me. It makes me suspicious.
Well, if you can't trust the robots to roll dice, then I don't know who you can trust.
That's true.
Beep boop. I mean, what?
What? Beep 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 boop boop. What?
We roll our human dice.
Yes. Beep beep boop. Boop pop.
For our random probabilities.
Yes, indeed. Well, we have the TUE-SAT priest.
We've done a lot here. I'll tell you what, Fox. I know you still have a half hour-ish?
Roundabouts, but it could be close-ish.
It could be what?
It could be close. I'm not sure. I haven't checked in.
Gotcha. I'll tell you what. Let's do this. So everyone who came by, for sure, we got done what I was hoping that we could do. Fox really got to jump in the waters of NPC and villain creation. Fox, you were outfoxing me. You were paying attention to the stuff that we manufactured before. You were adaptive, you were proactive, and you were taking these random numbers like a champ. And I really hope that this empowers you.
Yeah,
one more step to be the DM that you always have been. I don't think I've taught you anything new, but maybe I've shown you other ways to use the tools that you already have. But why don't we get up and take like a 5-minute break, stretch, use the restroom, get a drink or a snack or something. We can come back and maybe wrap things up, and then why don't we go raid D&D time to make sure that you're free to play in your session, featuring Selkris,
Yes.
who is the bratty drow queen.
Yes, Queen.
The bratty drow queen, trying to recover her lost empire.
Yes, there's a whole bucket of things with Selkris. She's 13 for one, and she's 13 in human years, not elf years.
All right, so 5-minute break. We'll come back here, wrap things up, and we're gonna go raid D&D time.
All right, cool. Bye, guys.